TikTok, it's time to rock. Welcome to the channel, folks. Welcome to the continuing saga of the Rolling Stones story here on the channel with my dear friend Charlie's Good tonight, also known as Carl from Hamilton. How are you, brother?
Oh, doing well. Hey, we've got some pretty bad weather here, so my camera's playing up. So apologise to everybody all around the world.
Hey, look, no problem, bro. You're on a plan to do something about that. That's good. The most important thing is that we can hear you. And we certainly look forward to getting on board and doing some stuff with you later on. But in particular, I have to say thank you for giving us again some time out of your schedule for this segment that we're doing here on the channel, All Things Rolling Stones. I'm looking forward to it. I know we've set ourselves a bit of a hard task, bro, and I've realized that, and it'll be interesting. I want to remind folks that I have no idea what Carl's song selections are, and he has no idea. We haven't consulted, so we haven't divided, a top 20 list between the two of us. It's definitely something that we're going to find out all together. And we also invite you, if you're watching on a replay or if anybody jumps in and watches us live, to give us your top 5 Rolling Stones songs. Before I pass it on to Carl, I just want to make it quite clear that the 5 songs that I'm offering today will probably be different from next week, Carl. But, at the moment, these are the 5 songs that I've picked. Probably 2 songs out of my 5 will always be there, if that makes sense, Carl.
Okay. Yep. Yeah. No, I was excited after you mentioned it last week. I scribbled down some songs straight after last week's live show, and then I worked on it a bit today. But the songs hadn't changed from last Wednesday. I was pretty concrete about them. But 5 songs, and obviously with the Stones catalogue being maybe 500 songs, sneak in a couple of honourable mentions.
Yeah, well, you can. Yeah, of course, we've got some honourable mentions, and so we'll give anybody that is watching on replay, they can have a couple of honourable mentions too. But before we kick off the show, as you guys know, if you're regularly here on the channel, we like to do a couple of things at the start of the show. So first and foremost, we'd like to thank you for taking time out of your schedule to even be bothered to watch what Carl and I, and indeed Rock Professor and Brad and anybody else who comes on the channel has to talk about. We really appreciate that, and we don't take that lightly. Also, we like to do shout outs on any significant milestones or achievements that have happened over the past week. So there's one achievement that I'd like to do a special shout out to, and that's John McVie, the bass player out of Fleetwood Mac. He is 80 years old today. So happy birthday, John McVie.
Wow. What a survivor. Likes his whiskey.
Yeah. Adam, we got Adam Crofts in the chat, and he said 5 songs makes it a challenge. Boy, does it what? So
that's why I mentioned a couple of honourable mentions, because and I'm gonna cheat a little bit too. So I'll let everybody know I'm gonna cheat just a little bit.
Wow, yeah. Well, I know Carl. I know Carl. So if Carl's cheating, well, that's just with the territory.
I'm not going to go overboard, but you'll find out sooner than later. But there's what's that saying? There's a method to my madness. Part of the master plan.
Well, okay. Well, certainly look forward to that. And so, obviously, folks, we're going to kick this off. I'm going to give Carl the first. We're going to go 1 for 1, if that's okay.
I was going to suggest that. That'd be fun. 1 for 1. But like a like a volley.
Yeah. It's a volley show. We're going to go 1 for 1. And the 5 songs that I'm going to offer are in no particular order. I want to make that clear from my perspective. They are just 5 songs with 2 honourable mentions, and they're all on the same grade, Carl. How about yours? Are they on a grade, or are you ranking them from weakest to the strongest?
No, I'm typical analytical. Typical me being analytical, chronological order by date. So early to late.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I certainly look forward to that. We've got Missionar D in the chat, and he's going, time on my side simply for the blues guitar solo. So that's a good choice. That's a fantastic choice. Yeah. Okay, Charlie's good tonight. What you got? What you got in your bag? What's your first song?
So kicking off, obviously, we're just highlighting not only the great songs, but the songs that mean to us individually from the great band. So 1965, from the Out of Our Heads album, and it's songs with a Z on the end. It's 2 songs in a row, meaning on the album they follow each other. But
yeah.
So it's Have Mercy, which is a Don Covey cover, the R&B artist.
Yeah.
Followed by Hitchhike, which Marvin Gaye did. So I think it's song 2 and song 3 on side 1. But the reason I'm highlighting those 2 songs is it really shines on Keith and Brian Jones' guitar interweaving.
Sure.
So the Stones being sort of blues and R&B and purists, and before obviously the psychedelic age and all that, I'm just reading the Eric Clapton book right now. They were just mesmerized with blues and R&B. They just couldn't get enough of it. And I'm going to stick my neck out and say that the Stones did a better version of Hitchhike than Marvin Gaye.
100%.
That's how good that, and hats off to not only Keith and Brian naturally with their beautiful guitar interweaving, but the rhythm section's on point, and Mick's obviously singing great. And I was listening to some Yardbirds because I told Andrew I'm reading the Eric Clapton autobiography, and Yardbirds, as we know, great guitar players, a great mod band. George Yergolmsky created a great image, but the Stones are just another level as far as a rhythm section, just another level. So I'm not taking a go at not having a go at the Yardbirds because they took the spot of the Stones at was the Crawdaddy, or was it? But just incredible. I'll never get sick of it. Obviously, they're both covers, but it just shows to me how much they loved American music and how close Keith and Brian were back in the days from Dartford, 6 months, cold winter, playing guitar together. That was Keith's plan the whole time, was to have 2 guitars sounding like one.
Fantastic.
Yeah, so that's my first song, even though it's 2.
Fantastic. Appreciate it. Good stuff. The first song I'd like to mention in my top 5 is Jumping Jack Flash. And the reason why I've picked that is because, it epitomizes for me everything that was in a cultural change in the late 60s in America and the UK. It went from, from a teeny bopper sort of perspective, from a music point of view, to a song where people were trying to work out and analyzing and having huge intellectual discussions about who was Jumping Jack Flash. What was Jumping Jack Flash representative of? It was being discussed, amongst fans, but also at academic levels, because people have to remember, the Rolling Stones and rock stars at that period in history were prophets of a new era. music was the catalyst, was the vehicle of this new revolution that was coming through. And the Stones were, with this song, the wave makers. It was a serious song. You know, that bass, the bass drone that came into it, that crunchy sound. The Rolling Stones themselves as songwriters were serious, but the subject wasn't, because as we all know, Jumping Jack Flash wasn't representative of some global conspiracy or some kind of power. It was just Keith Gardner. So
yeah, it was just
and you know, I just absolutely adore that song. I never get sick of it. It's the epoch of a new Rolling Stones, and I love all the versions of it. But that single, because it was a single when it came out, it grabbed, especially Carl, young Americans, by the throat, and propelled the Rolling Stones into another stratosphere. I love it.
Yes. I funny you mentioned Jumping Jack Flash, because I've saved a version of Jumping Jack Flash on my Spotify, sung by Lemmy from Motorhead.
Yeah, fantastic.
Have you heard that version?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. And also, Johnny Winter was a big Stones fan. He did Jumping Jack Flash, and he did another
great version of it.
Yeah, and something about the silver. He did 2 or 3 songs in the 70s Stones. And so, yeah. Now, Jumping Jack Flash, and also what Andrew was mentioning, it coincided with like Helter Skelter from the Beatles. They say that Helter Skelter was maybe the first proper heavy metal song. Young guys sort of maturing into adults, and music was heavier, and to boot, a great video for the song. 1968, here's the Stones in makeup, and we see videos all the time, but back then that would have been quite a treat to be on TV, because you didn't see many videos.
No, and they looked quite scary. They were quite, Mick with his war paint, Charlie with his Egyptian stuff, Brian and Keith with their sunglasses. They're pretty cool, bro.
And there's 2 versions for the fans, if you don't know. There's the makeup and the Kiss one, makeup free one. So both great. And Brian Jones, I'm led to believe, does play a telly on a lower mix. So there is 2. Okay. There's 2 Stones guitar players on there. As far as I'm pretty sure that Brian's somewhere in the mix there. So, yeah, good choice. So to coincide with that same era, my second choice is 1968. And I'm cheating one more time, and that's it for tonight. These 2 songs flow next to each other, and they're special to me because I listened to them non-stop when I was a kid, like 14 or 15, because I just loved the way they flowed together. But Parachute Woman.
Oh.
Okay, Acoustic Blues, Stones getting back to their roots. Jimmy Miller's on the scene. Glenn Johns is fiddling the knobs. Just incredible. And that heavily miking that tape recorder or whatever they did to capture that big sound. And for the fans out there, and I didn't realize this, I'm going to buy the album when I get a bit more flush, is an amazing version of Parachute Woman on Rock and Roll Circus. A totally different version to the Beggars Banquet version, more electric, and Keith's pretty much doing 90% of the guitar. But yeah, Parachute Woman will always be special to me because the Stones are getting back to their roots. Acoustic blues, and also if you listen to the lyrics carefully, they talk about Caroline and Dallas, their fascination, which I still have fascination to this day, of American cities and states and culture.
Wow.
So Yeah. If you listen to the lyrics, there's 3 or 4 or 5 cities that get mentioned. Quite suggestive lyrics. A third verse I won't mention on live on here, but talking
Sure.
about from So, but the song that follows Parachute Woman, Jigsaw Puzzle Blues.
Yep.
And I like that because it's got a really nice laid back feel. Once again, very acousticy. Like Andrew mentioned last week, Beggar's Banquet and Let It Bleed are bed buddies. They just flow really well together, 68, 69. Brian's on Mellotron, which gives it a beautiful, airy, happy, folky background sound. For the first time, Keith Richards is playing slide. There was arguments back and forth. Was it Brian on slide or Keith on slide? And some guys with really good ears said, nah, that's not Brian. Brian plays a different style of slide.
Sure.
So, and the other thing that's really delightful in that song is just the Nicky Hopkins influence for me. It's just the band is swinging. So that's sort of a 2 for 1. That's the last time I'm cheating, but just I love those 2 songs. I never get sick and tired of them. And they sneak that Jigsaw Puzzle Blues sneaks into a top 30 of Stone's all-time songs, depending on who you listen to. So it's a really good deep cut.
Yeah, fantastic. I did a short on the channel, me doing an intro of No Expectations off that album on the channel. I uploaded it this morning, and it's getting quite a good views and some nice comments for some people. I don't think we can underestimate what Beggar's Banquet did for the Rolling Stones, that rediscovery of blues and how they supernaturalized it. And Carl, you've correctly and rightly so picked 2 great songs from that album that gave them the blueprint to catapult themselves into that golden run. So thank you for picking those.
Yeah. Almost Prodigal Son was almost in there, but those 2 are special for me.
Okay, my second song. This could be my favorite Rolling Stones song, folks. And if you know me, you probably won't be surprised. It's Sympathy for the Devil, but it's the live version of Get Your Ya-Ya's Out. I listen to that song probably 100 times a year. I jam to that song. It was one of the first songs that I learnt to jam to. In fact, it's a pretty easy song. It's just 3 chords. It's an E. I was blown away by the studio version, but that live version, the power, Carl, of that Get Your Ya-Ya's and that incredible guitar solo that starts off with Keith Richards, and then Mick Taylor comes in and just does this beautiful fluid guitar solo, those flourishes that he does, those embellishments, all these words that guitar players use that I never often use when I'm ranking the tracks, because I don't know what really all these things mean, because I'm just a blues man. I just call it guitar playing. And technically, he's just doing some incredible stuff. I love it. I adore that song off that album. It could be Carl. It could be my favorite Rolling Stones song, and that's the best version ever of it. Carl.
It's a really muscular intro from Keith Richards, visceral, and he does exactly what he needs to do, Keith, on that solo. He plays a great rhythm, and then he does a really nice, tasty, chunky solo. It's not your Jimmy Page, Jeff Beck's, or your Eric Clapton's, but it's exactly what it needed to be. And that's why Mick Taylor was the hired hot gun, because he just put the icing on the cake at the end. As like Andrew said, he just the triplets, the fluidity, the vibrato, the tone. It's just, I'm running out of words in the dictionary.
Yeah. It's an incredible song, and like I say, it could be my favorite. I've got another song here. that I'm going to talk about, and it could be a toss-up between another song that we're going to talk about, but definitely going to play that song at my funeral, 100%.
Really? Okay. I'll have a 0% Heineken to that.
Awesome. What's your next song, brother?
Okay, well, hey, tying in with Mick Taylor, I never get sick of this, and it reminds me of just a little bit of the decadence of the 70s, and it was Mick Taylor's swan song, a goodbye to the Stones, and Mick Jagger's incredible intellectual songwriting skills. Time waits for no one. It's just got everything I like. It's got the Santana sort of melody. Keith's got a beautiful little Latin thing going on, just a nice tidy rhythm. As we know, Mick Taylor steals the show with his outro solo. I was reading up about it. There's that clicking that happens all the way through. Some other guy, some sessions guy was doing it, and it's just perfect. And if you really, now that I've got a clearer head, I'm actually focusing a lot more on the lyrics, because I was just a rhythm guitar sort of just noise. I just like noise and volume and power. But Mick Jagger's just an incredible songwriter as well. These guys, people think of the Stones and Beatles and various, rock star musicians. They're more than that. They're intellectuals. They're avid readers. So I'm going on a bit here, but Time Waits for No One, 10 out of 10.
Oh, fantastic. So I'm just going to read some comments that we got here. Sympathy and Gimme Shelter are my equal faves. That's Adam, from Adam. Sporties, Gimme Shelter helped advance respect for backup singers in rock. Absolutely. And she likes the Sympathy for the Devil Rock and Roll Circus version. Yeah, that's a great version too. Yeah, 100%.
Really raw, 100%. That one.
Yeah. My third song is the song that I discovered the Rolling Stones to in my mind and in my experience. It was something that I discovered, Carl, without having someone show me an album or a tape when I was at high school, or if it was something that I heard on the radio myself and thought, wow, I've got to go and get this. And it was Start Me Up by the Rolling Stones, 1980, 81 it came out. I just started high school, and I heard that open G intro by Keith. Dun, dun, dun. And I thought, my gosh, what is this? And it was the Rolling Stones. And I remember hopping on my push bike. I lived in Fairfield, Carl, and I push bike from Fairfield into town, into Tandy's, to buy that 45, and came home. And I just remember listening to that. I can't remember what the B-side was, but I can remember listening to that 45 for hours on end, thinking this was great. And then going to school and telling my friends that I was listening to the Rolling Stones, getting shit from my friends by saying, what are you listening to that old stuff for? That's old music.
40 years ago.
But I love that song. That was off Tattoo You, and I didn't know anything about the Stones back then. It wasn't until we got a little bit older and started reading things, and you realized that Tattoo You, why that's such a great album. A lot of those songs go back to Exile on Main Street, 10 years beforehand. So there's a thread in time going between Exile, which is one of the best rock and roll albums in the history of music, making a connection, Carl, to Tattoo You with that lead single. And my friend, I'll never forget listening to that on 1ZH. On the radio. Blew my socks off. Got great memories, Carl.
Yeah, well, Start Me Up is just it's a rock and roll. It's just a rock and roll heavyweight. It's instantly recognizable. Encapsulates Keith's beautiful the riffmeister, Keith Riff Hard, as we eventually know him. Great recording, And like Andrew said, Tattoo You was a bunch of B-sides and outtakes over the span of 8 years. I just realised today that Wayne Perkins plays the solo on Worried About You.
Oh, really?
Yeah. If you go through Tattoo You, it's just a hodgepodge of all sorts. And Start Me Up started out in standard tuning as a reggae song.
Yeah.
So it went through a real metamorphosis to what we know it of as today. It's just, and it's so simple but so effective.
And a great video.
Yes. If you like a bit of humour, there's a guy that's redone that video with noises instead of music.
I know the video.
Yeah. No. Mick the aerobics instructor.
What's your next one, buddy?
Okay, hey, we're piling, getting through them. This song, what I like about the Rolling Stones is I used to drive the car a lot in the old days, especially in America, big country, big states, big cities, big highways, and certain songs just are great driving songs. And this one is just a deep cut from Black and Blue, Memory Motel.
Oh,
I just love the electric piano intro. I think there's two keyboards on there. Once again, Mick is just singing his ASS off, and the lyrics are poignant. They're about meeting woman on the road and sort of temporarily falling in love. And yeah, it's just a great story and a great sing-along song. And my favourite line is the Rose from San Antone.
Yeah.
San Antone is about 30 minutes away from where I used to live in Austin. So just sort of was special to me, that song, especially in Texas. So it's just a real golden nugget on that album, Black and Blue. And here's a fun fact. There's no Stones guitar player on that song.
Wow.
Harvey Mandel and Wayne Perkins are doing the guitar playing.
Yes.
There's no Keith, there's no Ron, there's no Mick's out of the picture, Mick Taylor's out of the picture.
That's right.
So it's just an interesting song, and it's got a bit of a background to it as far as the auditioning album. But for the Stones to pull that off, in the middle of auditions is just sublime. So,
well done. Yeah. All right, buddy. My next song, again, I remember I was at my nana's place, and I was my uncle Patrick was there, and we had two cousins down, and it was Christmas time, and we were listening to some music, and I wasn't drinking because I was a little bit too young back then, but it was Christmas and family and stuff like that, and people were drinking and they were playing records, and they put this album on, and I knew the first song, and I knew the third. Didn't know the third song, but when they put this song, "Can't You Hear Me Knocking," it just grabbed my attention. This intro, I hadn't heard anything like it. I've since read people were making a lot of comparisons to that interesting guitar intro that Keith was doing on his Telecaster with what a lot of the punk bands, the British punk bands, are doing in the late 1970s. That power and energy that they were getting from just a couple of chords. And they were right, because that was about the time. A couple of years later, that I was sort of listening to that music as well.
Yeah.
But I remember just being blown away by it. And Carl, you and I have spoken about this a few times over the years. When you hear something, that it's the gateway to something a little bit more, but you don't quite get it. And then it went to this sort of like interesting area of a guitar solo that I didn't quite get. I didn't get that when I first heard it, for the first couple of years, but I loved that crunch. But it wasn't until I heard it again and again and understood and then sort of became articulate with what the music was, and with a bit of experience, and then I got it. And it wasn't until I got that sort of, it's famously described as a Santana-esque solo, and I'm happy to use that because he was an interesting, influential figure at that time too. So if they were copying him, that's not necessarily a bad thing. But I got to understand that with a bit of experience. And again, I said to you before that I listened to Sympathy for the Devil 100 times a year. I probably listen to this song 200 times a year, Carl. For me, being an Open G fan, I've got Metallica, so they're sitting there. This is the epitome, in my opinion, of Keith's Open G tuning. It's incredible. It's 100 out of 10, Carl. I love it.
Well, it's just how many times have you been watching a movie and all of a sudden they break to a new scene or the intro to a movie and there it's just blasting out the speakers and it's perfect. And the Rolling Stones have got this amazing knack. CCR had it, where they could be in a studio in France, but the song sounds like you're in South America in the summer, close to the beach.
Sure.
It's just very atmospheric, very South American. It's a Tarnan thing. It was great. It was great in that movie with Johnny Depp called Blow. It was just perfect. And once again, muscular guitar playing, beautiful tone. Keith and Mick are just sort of like, Keith's intro and Mick's yelling, but it's perfect.
Oh, his yelling it makes it.
Oh yeah, and the amazing drumming and the bass, it's rock guitar perfection, rock music perfection. Sorry. It wipes the floor of most bands in the world. It's just so Rolling Stones, so unique. It's a reference point for so many musicians. Fans of the Stones and fans not of the Stones, they have to respect that song.
Yep.
It's no other way to describe it. So,
cheers, mate.
Yeah.
What you got?
All right. Okay. Here's a little bit of a. I've got to mention the guy. I mean, he's obviously my least favorite guitar player, but he does a great job. It's a great song. It's a great album. It's very New York, and it ties in with what you're saying about punk. Here we are, 77, 78. Punk's big, especially in England. In New York, you've got the Ramones and various bands, and all of a sudden the media gets a hold of this and start telling the Stones, aren't you guys a bit old? And and they were only 36 or 35, but the song is shattered. And
well done.
It's just a really chunky intro, standard tuning. Once again, it sounds great in the car. Great recording. Hard to play. They try to play it live, and it's timing. If the timing's not there, there's no wiggle room. There's no mercy, no forgiveness. That's why the song on the album's so good, because they nailed it. But Ron Wood does some great guitar work. And some cheeky lyrics about New York and plastic bags and shattered and tatters and rats and subways, and just a clever song.
Oh, yeah, sure is. Hey, Jonas.
Just a really clever song. And once again, so there's my hats off to Ron Wood on that one.
Yeah, well done. Yeah, he's a groover. He can do it, bro.
Yeah, I love it.
Okay, so according to this is my fifth, and we got 2 honorable mentions. Is that correct? So this is my last one.
Yep.
So Carl spoke about the Rolling Stones having this interesting ability to write songs, and no matter where you are, to propel you into an environment or this landscape or this mindscape or this story, whatever you want to call it, this film, this idea that you have of something that's attached to a song. You know, the Rolling Stones are incredible at doing that. I'll have to back Carl up on that. But the Rolling Stones are very, very clever in no matter where the environment is, where they're recording, and they've recorded folks all around the world. We've got to make that clear. They've recorded everywhere. So the song that I've picked to round up my top 5 is off Goat's Head Soup that came out in 72. It's definitely, in my opinion, a sleeper on the track, but it's a song called Winter. And I absolutely adore it. You mentioned Carl, you described Mick when you were talking about Time Is On My Side, has been a philosopher, as been intellectual, been academic in his lyrics, matured, if you like. On this track here, he's got some great lyrics, and I wish I'd been out in California when the lights on all the Christmas trees went out, but I've been burning my bell book and candle, and the restoration plays have all gone round. It's just incredible. This guy with his lyrics, and then it's backed up by one of the greatest, guitar solos by Mick Taylor, Carl. Playing a Stratocaster. We normally associate him playing humbuckers, but it's interesting that you picked Time Waits for No One, and I think he's playing a Strat on with that as well. So
yeah, there's a picture I've got of him, Mick Taylor, in one of my Rolling Stones books from 20, 30 years ago that I managed to collect, and he's playing a Strat. He's got a huge afro. Seen that picture?
Yeah.
So you're right. He did play the Strat on occasion. We associated him with especially the SG and the Les Paul.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. Definitely on Winter. He's definitely playing a Strat, and so I opened up how the Stones can propel you somewhere in your mind into a different environment. That song Winter, they were in Jamaica recording this album, and if you go and listen to that song, you think you're in the snow somewhere. Well, I do. I certainly, the word association with the mood that I get from the song, mate, I'm in the North Pole.
That's just how clever they are, atmospheric. And our good friend, our mutual friend, who's one of the premier Rolling Stone connoisseur, collector, fanatics, that's his favourite song, Richard Fox.
Correct. And it's also Jonas's Winter is a great song, and it's his favourite Stone from his favourite Stones album, Goat's Head Soup. So, definitely a sleeper track. Great song. Incredible song.
It's interesting how they don't put it on any compilations or
nope.
It's just but the Stones are so good that they can't put everything on there, but there's certain songs you're scratching your head, be like, why wasn't that on there?
Definitely a sleeper.
Yes, no, that's and Goat's Head Soup was a bit of an interesting time because Keith wasn't doing so well.
No.
And both Micks really came to the table and carried the whole thing, really. So
great album.
Good choice.
Thank you, bro. So what's your first honorable mention?
Okay, well, this ties in with Sympathy for the Devil, and the whole Get Your ARs album for me is probably my favorite live album of all time. It's in my top 5, most definitely top 10 Stones albums of all time. I first heard it when I was 6 or 7 years old and just mesmerized, but to coincide with Sympathy for the Devil, I'll put here Stray Cat Blues.
I love that song.
Yeah, so we've got, once again, Keith's chunky rhythm. The the arrangement's different to the studio song, and we've got amazing drumming by Charlie Watts, incredible singing naturally from Mick Jagger, but the guy that steals the show is Mick Taylor. Mick Taylor, that's one of the best employee PR, human resources hired jobs they ever did in the history of music, was hiring Mick Taylor.
So I remember when you and I we were learning that song together, that intro. So it's a D. So I've got my guitar here. So let me. So it's a D, ding 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 ding, C, G G G, and then it's F. Dun, 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 C, diddle, diddle, G, 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 F, 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 and then that A, D, something, A. Yeah, mate, I love it. I love it.
Yeah. That guy, James or Priv Trick or something, he does the breakdown of how it works, and he doesn't have a name for that A chord because it's typical Keith. It's a bit like Pete Townsend. They just create these chords, and it just works so well. That was the song I was trying to think of. So Johnny Winter does an amazing version of Stray Cat Blues as well.
Yeah.
So the Rolling Stones are just heavyweights in the realms of blues rock. And Keith Yayer's out, like Andrew mentioned, just a great energy, a great flow of tracks. The band's cooking. It's the tail end of the American tour, so they're running really hot. And you can tell they're running hot because the music's so good.
Yeah, brilliant. Thank you, bro. So my first honourable mentions tagging on to exactly the same era that you're talking about, and I'll never, ever forget the video, and I think it's one of my favourite videos. It's got Keith sitting there with his National Dualian resonator guitar. He's got his black jeans on with those conchos. He's got his alligator boots on. He's wearing that red jersey that was Anita's. You've got Mick sitting next to him wearing the Aquarius t-shirt.
Oh, yes.
Madison Square Gardens, 1969, Prodigal Son.
Wow.
Oh, yeah, you know. Oh,
yeah. It ties in well with Parachute Woman. Yeah, I love Prodigal Son is probably my favorite verse out of the New Testament, maybe the Bible together.
Well, we continue to be prodigal sons every day.
Well, it's just the lyrics are incredible. It's based on a parable, as we know, Jesus Christ, and the Rolling Stones catapulted the careers like Cream did with Skip James. All of a sudden, Robert Wilkins was out of the freezer being thawed out, and he was alive again.
Well, yeah, I'm going to do a special shout out while I can, bro, to Jonas. He's out of his crutches. He's had his hip operation, so he's off his crutches. So well done. What I liked particularly about that video, watching that video, was the authenticity of Keith and Mick, you know, playing this music that they loved, that they've been playing for about 10 years, Carl, you know, and, you know, the interaction between Keith and Mick is very, very interesting because after they play that song, Mick introduces that they're going to play Along Came a Spider or something like that. And then Keith breaks into You Gotta Move. I think.
Yes. This is a perfect hour.
Yeah. Yes. And you know, Keith and Mick share a look. And then, you know, they finish that and they were supposed to do another song and Keith puts the resonator down. So, you know, just a little bit of, you know, for a second there were a couple of good examples there of Keith saying to his guitar, to his lead singer, hey, you know, I call the shots here too, boy.
We can hear a little bit of ad-lib on Parachute Woman and Rock and Roll Circus, where Mick at the end of the song says, God save the Queen, and you can hear under a really low volume microphone Keith saying, what are you talking about? God's, something like that, So you hear it really, really lightly. So there's a little, but that's just, they're like brothers, they're best mates, and they fight, so yeah.
Yeah, I love it. And one of my favorite videos, watching these guys, man, that's the real deal. If you want to see white British guys, an example of white British guys playing the blues, that's a great example, Carl. What's your next No,
well, this was
mention?
This is so hard. I mean, I love the song, and it almost made the top 5, and it's just so hard to narrow it down. But it ties into Mick and Keith being blues brothers, soul brothers, English brothers, music brothers, you name it. And I love the video. You mentioned about a video. The whole band is cooking, and they've got some guest musicians, waiting on a friend.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable. The intro, the recording,
the video.
The video's incredible. They've got the Rasta guys on that. I think that's the same street or the same brownstone as Physical Graffiti.
Correct. Same building. Yes.
Yeah, part of Greenwich Village in New York. So,
yeah.
I mean, and to see all the New Yorkians just walking around with their 10 speeds, and Keith with his ciggy and his bohemian walk and his scarf, and Mick's probably the worst dresser I've ever seen in my life. But the song is amazing. Beautiful intro, and we've got Nicky Hopkins once again. Just his touches are incredible. But one of the highlights of that song is Sonny Rollins, the famous jazz saxophone player.
Yeah.
And the solo just takes you to another place. Just the Rolling Stones, like we just mentioned, have this knack of just all of a sudden your anxiety's gone. You listen to the music and you just go into a certain place, and it's a happy place.
Yeah. I agree. It's one of my favorite songs. I mentioned "Start Me Up" being in my top 5, and it wasn't long after that single was released that we got that video on music channels here. So I was, that's when I became a Stones fan, Carl.
Yes, yeah. Tattoo You was huge. I mean, MTV had kicked off, colour TV. Lots. I think New Zealand went from 1 channel to 2 channels. Australia went from 4 channels to 5, and America had cable, and designated music channels. It was that whole Tattoo You punk scene, new wave, was huge. I've actually made a punk playlist just for my working out, because you make these Spotify playlists and they get quite, after a few months, you want to mix it up. So I didn't realize this, but there's some good punk music out there, and they love Stone. They're doing the Avengers are doing a version of Under My Thumb. No, sorry, not Under My Thumb. Painted Black. It's incredible, absolutely incredible. There's all these versions of they're doing Chuck Berry. It's just the punk. There's some good punk music out there. But what I'm saying is, '81 was a unusual time, because digital music was in vogue. Different recording processes. Andrew mentioned last week a huge tour with these football stadiums that were just like gigantic coliseums.
Yeah.
And it was just a great time. And for me, it was their last great era, up to '82 with the European tour, and that was about it. The frequency was, there's a lot more time in between of taking time off. So, yeah, 20 years of great music.
Awesome. Right, my last honourable track that I'd like to talk about. Obviously, we can't deny country's influence on the Rolling Stones, especially during those golden period albums. The influence of country music, and how Keith, and he talks about that in his biography, was looking for the authenticity. That's one of the great things that he loved about the blues. It was replicating. It was a reproduction. It was a mirror. it was storytelling of people in real life situations. And when he discovered that country music was actually the same thing, but from the other side of the tracks kind of thing, and he became a disciple of it, and Keith as well. Sorry, and Mick as well.
Yes.
They were doing that together, and they had the opportunity because they were touring the States then, to some degree. And they were hanging out with artists, most notably Graham Parsons was involved in, educating Keith especially about the depth of country music and what it could offer to him as a rock and roll songwriter. And that's the key that we have to understand here, that these guys were songwriters, and they were looking for power to tap into to tell their story and to keep fresh. And that's one of the reasons why Keith got involved heavily with reggae music, because it comes from that same perspective as well. And Jimmy Cliff just passed away, and he came out with a message recognizing Jimmy Cliff's passing, and how often they spent time hanging out with each other, and how Jimmy Cliff was teaching reggae and showing Keith, the depth of reggae. So that's what I love about the Stones. They're not scared to do that. But country had a huge influence on the songwriters. So I've picked Sweet Virginia as a representative of that. It was one of the first harp solos or intros that I ever learnt to play. It's a party song. We all know the chords. Carl and I could go to a party, tomorrow night, and we could all play it. It's a great song. Drop these reds, drop these greens and blues. I love the lyrics, and encapsulates for me, that seriousness of the Stones. And their embrace of that country style and the power of country music, Carl. Hey, Hugh, good to see you, brother.
I was in a bar on 6th Street in Austin, Texas, and it was a great band there, country rock band. And they said, would like to pay homage to the greatest country and western band of all time, the Rolling Stones. Here's some Texas hillbilly rednecks paying homage to some skinny little white English boys. but these guys would have heard Exile on Main Street and various country songs and be like, wow. I've seen versions. I saw a band do Loving Cup at Antone's Blues Bar in Austin. So the American bands love Exile. They love that country stuff, that country rock. How many times have we heard cover bands do Dead Horses?
Wild Horses. Yeah.
No, Dead Flowers. Wild Horses and Dead Flowers.
Yes.
Wild Flowers and Dead Horses.
Hey, Sonia. Yeah. Great songs, aren't they?
That's incredible, man. We didn't double up together. Your 7 was different to my 7, but they were all intertwined.
Yeah, well, it's the power of music, and I've loved doing this Rolling Stones sessions with you, Carl. I'm going to let you pick over the next couple of days the subject for us to do for next Wednesday. If you're keen to do something, I've still got a couple of free Wednesdays leading up to Christmas. So if you want to get together with Carl and I next week, folks, Carl's going to provide the subject, and I'll do a show card. So make sure you hit those notifications. We're not going to leave the show straight away. We're going to hang around for another couple of minutes. But if you're watching on a replay and you want to submit your 5 favorite Rolling Stones songs with a couple of honorable mentions, please do. We'd love to see what you have to say. And we've got some dear friends in the chat with us. Hugh Caldwell from Scotland. Good to see you, brother. Jonas from Sweden. He's asking a question. how is the news going down with AC/DC concerts in Australia? Well, from what I understand, mate, I think it's been pretty good. So
Wow.
yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens. But I've got no solid news for you. And we've got I said Sonia Missionardi was in here hanging out with us, and also Sporty was in here, and our friend from Australia, Adam Croft. So, but yeah, Carl, I'm interested in the fact that you and I didn't pick one song that was the same. I was sure that we would have a song. I was sure we were going to have one song.
Yeah. Well, that's but that just shows you how extensive their catalogue is, and how hard it is to even. I'd even struggle doing a top 20. I would say there's 40 amazing songs, but 40 meaning covers as well, and instrumentals and originals. But
Oh yeah,
they're just giants. I mean, the simple fact that punk bands cover them, and then country and western bands pay homage, and it's just one big great circle, because everyone it goes back around. I mean that the Stones learned off the Blues Guys. The Blues Guys covered Stones songs. The Stones guys love reggae. The reggae guys do cover versions of the Stone. It's just great.
Yeah, it's incredible.
But I can understand why. Sorry.
Yeah, well, I was going to say, that's interesting that, that they've had that influence. And you got to remember too that, there's been a lot of pub bands over the years, mate, that have played a lot of Stone songs too, Start Me Up, Under My Thumb, I don't know how many times I've heard that in Hamilton pub bands, just, Brown Sugar, Honky Tonk Woman, yeah,
Yeah, they call them modern language these days. They call them bangers, absolute bangers. Yeah, no, good show, man. I'm glad. I'm happy that. So it took an hour. If you don't mind me closing out an hour, I didn't sleep well last night. So
okay, all right, mate. Well, it's good hanging out with you, and I look forward to talking to you over the next couple of days for a subject for next Wednesday. We look forward to that. If you want to hang out with Carl and I next week, please hit the notification button. We're going to wish you well. If you're watching on replay, please subscribe to our channel, and we'll subscribe back to your channel. And we love the Rolling Stones here. The Rolling Stones. Go and check out the Rolling Stones. Tomorrow, the Beatles are being released on Disney Plus, the anthology video series. So, what's a Rolling Stones show if you're not mentioning the Beatles?
Well, I'm reading the Eric Clapton book, and they were all friends in the early days. Hey, they all bumped into each other, and
yeah,
I didn't know this. I read about it, but I thought that's not true. But when Mick Jagger had a sore throat, Eric Clapton managed to get the courage to go up on stage and sing.
Yeah,
bizarre. I just can't imagine it.
Yeah, they were all great. Yeah, absolutely, and they were supporting each other.
Yes, and
yeah.
To this day, they're all still friends. I was just getting back to AC/DC in Australia. They've been really spoilt with the Oasis, Lenny Kravitz, AC/DC.
Yep.
Who else? Someone else was over there just recently. Metallica. Hey, did you hear any feedback from you or your building buddies about Metallica in Auckland, or anyone you knew went?
Oh yeah, I had a few guys, few of my friends who went, and they said it was incredible.
Right?
Tickets were expensive though. They were really expensive. Going to watch Metallica now, it's it's a rich man's game.
$200.
Yeah, and the sit-down seats in the front were $4,000.
Oh, bizarre. That's Lars Ulrich. Was it semi-covered? When I watched a video on Facebook, and it looked like there was part of a show was covered with a roof, or was it all open air?
No, it was at Eden Park, so there was no cover.
Oh wow, because it was pretty murky that day. There was threatening of rain, wasn't there?
Yeah, well, there's a cover over the the stage, but that's
That
it.
must be what I saw. That must be what I saw. Okay. All
But
right.
you were talking about Mick and Keith and Eric. If my memory serves me right, the first person that rang Eric after his son died was Keith Richards.
Did not know that. Wow.
Yeah, the first person who rang, and Keith knew that Eric was off the wagon and encouraged him to stay off it, to stay on it.
Yes. Well, I'm reading the book right now. I'm just into the Blues Breakers phase and really enjoying the book. Obviously, there's so much in his career to he's concentrating it the best he can because he's skimming over a lot of stuff. But I can understand because otherwise it'd be 10 books.
Well, yeah, it's a great book. It's one of the greatest books I've ever read, and he, makes if you read between the lines, there's a few apologies there, as well. So it's it's a
he didn't
great.
mention that. Sorry, he didn't mention the red Telecaster in the Yardbirds. He mentioned the Gibson 335, but maybe that was important. So
Well, it was because that was the guitar that he thought that when he bought and looked at, that was the guitar that made him realize that he had made it as a musician.
Okay.
Yeah.
If I really enjoyed this book, I'll get some more books on Eric. But
cool.
Yeah, no, I've really enjoyed the series, and thanks to everyone tuning in. And like Andrew said, if you've got some time, put in your top 5 or your top 10 or your top 7 or whatever, and let roll on the Stones.
The Stones need to come out with a new song for the new Windows called "Shut It Down." Well done. We're out of here. All right. God bless. See you later. Thanks for watching.
Thanks, guys.
Oh, where's this video? Hold on. I'm getting out of here. Somewhere. Who's running the show? There it is. Bye-bye.